Uh, uh, Friends of Alankada, distinguished guests, corporate and business association sponsors, my name is Yoshio Amano, President of the Japanese Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. I know that everybody is very enthusiastic, but I know everybody is now tired. Somebody might be rather sleepy, but don't worry. This is the fifth panel, and this is the last panel. This last panel has a simple but very important title, Education and Labor. With its large and growing workforce of 41 million Filipino supported by 100 million populations. The Philippines is fortunate to have a demographic dividend, which Japan is losing now. Our panel today will discuss policies and challenges to assure that this huge human capital advantage for the country will be properly educated and that there will be sound labor policies to support inclusive growth, creating good jobs for more talented and skilled workforce. May I invite our speakers, panel moderators, and panelists to the stage as I introduce you. Please refer to the forum program for fuller biography information in a small booklet. We have two speak sessions and one panel sessions. One of the cabinet secretaries who dialogues most often with business sector, Secretary Rosalinda Baldos, joins us today to discuss key policies of the Department of Labor. Secretary Baldos has spent her distinguished public sector career in the Philippines. In the field of the labor policies and programs. As she rose through the ranks at her department, she mastered every aspect of its many programs. When the President Aquino first interviewed her for the job in 2010, I heard that he did not know her but was so impressed and he invited her to join his cabinet. We thank you, the President, for his wise choice and the Secretary for the dedication and accomplishment. Our second speaker is Dr. Vincent Katigbak Fabela, President of Jose Rizal University, often described as the youngest university president in the Philippines. Hails from the distinguished family of the educators, including his grandfather Vincent, the first certified public accountant in the country, and his father Armand, Secretary of Education in the 1960s. He is building the Jose Rizal University to become a well-recognized regional university as it approaches its founding centennial in 2019. His own educational accomplishments are very impressive, with a degree from Brown, Columbia, master degree both in business and public administration, and the University of the Philippines. Then our moderator, Cheche Lazaro, should be extremely well known to our delegates as she is a prominent television broadcaster, investigative journalist, and producers of documentaries on the top network of GMA and ABS-CBN. She is the founding president of the Pro Productions and has also chaired the broadcast department at her alma mater, the University of the Philippines. Chechel could just as well as be moderate of our last panel on energy, as her husband Dale was the energy secretary in the Ramos administration. However, I believe she can also empower her view to labor and education. On the panel are four very knowledgeable experts who can discuss reforms in labor and education. Dr. Danilo Lachica is president of Semiconductor and Electronic Industries in the Philippines Foundations, Inc., SEIPI, with degrees in electrical engineering and business. Dan was run a semiconductor and solar panel manufacturing plant and also diversified business with First Philippine Holding. Today, he is a champion and the voice of the electronics industry that has for many years been the #1 exporter of the Philippines. We are also very pleased that the First Philippine Holdings has supported this Arrancada Forum as a platinum sponsor for 3 years. However, Mr. Federico Lopez, the chairman of the CEO of the First Philippine Holding Corporation, whom we have invited to be in our panel, will unfortunately be unable to join us today. He continues his family's tradition as a leading Philippine business group and employer and can speak today as a developer of large industrial estates, hosting major manufacturing plants and newest and largest wind farm in the country. Another educator joining our panel is Dr. Chito Salazar, President of Philippine Business of Education, PBED, and the head of the education group of FINMA. Chito, who has a PhD from American University in Development Management, today is in charge of 4 colleagues and universities in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, as is a dynamic leader of reforming education to produce graduates with the right blend of skills for Philippine economy. Rounding out the panel is Mr. Ernie Cecilia, Chair the Human Capital Resources Commission in American Chamber of Commerce. He is also former Executive Director of the People's Management Association of the Philippines. The reforms in education and labor during this administration are substantial and will have major lasting impact as they enlarged and sustained in future administration. We ask delegates to read the 2 sections of the Arrancada assessment on labor and education to learn more. I will now ask Secretary Bardos to give her remarks, to be followed by Dr. Favela and an excellent panel discussion and brief open forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Amano. Thank you so much to my dear friends from the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce for the invitation for Dole to be part of this 4th anniversary assessment of their Arrancada report. I'm very happy that this topic will be focusing on the labor policies under the Aquino administration for better business and higher investment. Okay? It might interest you to know that the partnership of Dole and JFC dates back in September 2010, a few months after we start we started the Aquino administration. We entered into a memorandum of cooperation so that we can focus on labor issues and the recommendation with respect to the 7 big winners that they have identified, which happen to be also in the list of top employment-generating industries that are part of our Jobs Fit 2020. And from there, we have a forum where we conducted separate dialogues focusing on the 7 big winners. And we were able to identify the issues, and JFC came out with 9 recommendations for Dole to be able to address in terms of the reforms that the Aquino administration should be able to initiate to address the issues. And after that, this recommendation found their way in their Arrancada report. And we have to address this by way of responses, and this is more or less the focus of my presentation. And under our agreement, they came out with a system of rating the Department of Labor and Employment based on what we did with the recommendations from 2011 to 2014. And we call that the Arrancada Assessment Scorecard. And they gave us feedback every time they release their assessment annually. And we take their assessment very seriously. And immediately we validate the ratings given based on the official records and statistics that we have at the Department of Labor and Employment. And therefore, we are able to really identify what are the gains and what are the gaps that still need to be addressed. And so we also would like to present to you the roadmap towards ensuring that we get completed rating. That's the highest rating they gave for all the 9 recommendations. Okay, so we really intend to close all the gaps before the Aquino administration ends its term. Okay, so next. Next, please. Now, this is the scorecard. Out of the 9 recommendations, we only got in 1 recommendation the completed rating, the highest rating they gave. They're very stingy. Then, there are 6 recommendations where we got the rating substantial progress. So this is it: modernizing the labor code, wages with inflation and productivity, narrowing skills and jobs mismatch, creating millions jobs, of higher quality, maintaining the low level of labor disruptions, and improving the speed and fairness in the adjudication of labor cases, particularly at the National Labor Relations Commission. Then, there is 1 recommendation when the rate was started. And this is something to do with the development of a package of incentives to manufacturers that are leaving China and would want to invest here in the Philippines. And the last of the 9th, we got the lowest, but I will explain later also our reservation on this, the backward and regression rating, and this has something to do with the rationalization of holidays. Okay, we now go to what's the validated result of the Arrancada assessment from the point of view of the Department of Labor and Employment. Do we agree 100%? Do we have reservations, so on and so forth? So next slide, please. So, this is the one where we got the completed rating. Substitute days off with pay. And this has something to do with the clamor for flexible work arrangement, particularly coming from the BPO ICT sector. We started the reform in November 2010 with a department order that I signed on flexible work arrangement and also on the employment of workers during night time. And by July, so we're just talking of November, by July, the President already signed the law that lifted the prohibition on the night work for women. We made it sure that the President certified this as urgent. That's why, as early as July, it is now become a law. We issued the implementing rules. We never had problems in the smooth implementation of the law. And the result is there is in the hiring policy and procedure with respect to millions of workers, especially women workers in the BPO ICT industry. And from 2010 to 2014, this is as much employment as has been generated in the sector. All we have to do is work closely with the industry and sustain the smooth implementation of this law. Okay, next. I think my chairman at the PESA board is very happy for this because we've been declaring and certifying so many IT zone in the PESA board. Next is the first recommendation where we got substantial progress. Review of the tripartite labor code, and we immediately constituted a tripartite small group under the National Tripartite and Industrial Peace Council. They came out with 18 proposed amendments. Remember, we have departed from the usual omnibus review and go through piecemeal because this is the best, the most practical. Otherwise, we will not be able to effect changes and amendments. And out of the 18, 14 were considered by Dole as priority bills. And out of the 14, 4 has already been passed into law at this point in time. Republic Act 10-151 is denied work prohibition on women. We declare that kasambahay is just like any regular worker with rights covered by labor legislation and our social security legislation, and it benefited 1.9 million domestic workers. The President strengthened tripartism by passing a law, and this used to be covered by an executive order passed during the time of his mother, President Corazon Aquino. And then the latest that became into law is the single entry approach that radicalized the system of disposing and settling cases at the Dole because this institutionalized a 30-day mandatory conciliation and settlement of all labor cases across all the labor adjudicatory machinery of the Department of Labor and Employment. So this is a very Asian way of settling conflicts or issues at the shop floor. If you cannot settle it at the shop floor, then make use of the mandatory settlement procedure. And this has been passed into law. Our team that implements this on its first year of implementation received the highest award for civil servants by the Civil Service Commission. Okay, because of this, we have to focus more on the remaining 10 bills. Apprenticeship, the favorite of our JFC friend, the favorite of many, which will remove the 6-month mandatory period or the maximum period for apprenticeship, and which will use industry standards for determining apprenticeshable jobs. Well, is now on third reading at the lower house together with the PESO bill, and the rest are now at the second reading. Out of the 10, 9 got the tripartite endorsement from the National Tripartite Industrial Peace Council. So I have very high hopes that we can push all these bills and become law before the end of the term of the President, including the assumption of jurisdiction. It did not get the tripartite support, but I have very high hopes, and the confidence level is such that we can still push this into law. So that's it. Then the next, on the substantial progress, this is one of the successful reform under the Aquino administration, linking wage increases to inflation and productivity. We have the 2-tier wage system. One is fixed, the tier 1, linked to inflation, linked to CPI, and linked to poverty income threshold. And the second tier is linked to productivity, very flexible and very voluntary. We were able to ensure that the system will be able to be implemented in such a way that minimum wage increases can now be very predictable, very regular, and very moderate, because the ILO helped us to craft a formula to be able to determine minimum wage with less political pressure as in the past. We streamlined the wage administration from 134 wage rate. I think we are down now to 106. And we were able to also align the minimum wage, which started in 2010, 30 or below income poverty threshold. We end up 2014 with only 15 wage rates that are not compliant with Tier 1. At this time, I am told that out of the 15 remaining, only one is not in compliance with Tier 1. So we are really moving very fast on this, and we will have to continue rationalizing the minimum wage and ensuring that many companies will set up productivity improvement programs that will enable the company to give additional income for their workers. Next. The one is on skill jobs mismatch. I know that much of the education and training portion of this will be taken up maybe by the next speaker. But this is a convergent program at the cabinet cluster level with DepEd, with CHED, with TESTA, with PRC, and with DOLE. And out of the work of the different agencies in consultation with the industry, we are now working towards internationally benchmarked Philippine qualification framework, and the industry is very much active in developing this. And this is in preparation for referencing our PQF with the Asian Qualification Referencing Framework. And our labor market information system can now produce timely, accurate, and accessible information on where are the jobs, what are in-demand jobs, difficult jobs to fill up, and this is accessible online. PhilJobNet, the electronic government job portals, started with 60,000 vacancies in 2010. Now it carries 600,000 job vacancies, okay? And we have to ensure that the PESO reform bill, the Job Start bill, the SPES bill, the apprenticeship bill will be passed into law. And we should be able to start referencing our PQF with the Asian Qualification Framework starting this year, such that we will be able to conclude mutual recognition arrangement for skilled workers and professionals. Next. I know that I'm running with time. Millions of new and quality jobs. We really thought that the reforms that you have to consider when you rate the Department of Labor and Employment would be the labor market efficiency indices and the global competitiveness report. And we've been doing a good job, as you have seen in the result. We are up by 20 notches in the labor market efficiency and the competitiveness report. We are up by 20 notches in labor freedom, which is part of the economic freedom report. And we are top 3 among the least perceived to be corrupt in ASEAN. Okay? Thank you so much. These are for you. These gains are for you. And so we will have to sustain the gains in our ranking. And the alternative bills to security of tenure, subcontracting, and termination of employment, so that it will be not so rigid to terminate employment, will have to be considered and also passed into law. This is yet in the file. The bill, except for the employment relation, is already filed in the Committee on Labor and Congress. But the employment relation bill, which has something to do with termination due to the different nature of employment, is still in the tripartite consensus stage, okay? And I think we are already in the last 2. Next. Level of labor dispute. I think I need not to elaborate on this. We are enjoying the most stable, sustainable industrial peace in the country based on social justice. 2010, we started with 8 strikes. Last year, we ended up with 1, and we are committed to keep this on a single-digit level. More companies are now being declared compliant. Not only that, even eco-zones are declared labor law compliant. Even tourist destinations are being declared as labor law compliant. More cases now are settled through conciliation and mediation, and less through compulsory arbitration. So we need to sustain the implementation of the labor law compliance system, which is now covered in a bill, and we will see to it that this will be passed into law, since it carries a tripartite endorsement together with occupational safety and health bills in the construction industry. Next. 2, speed and fairness in the adjudication of the labor cases. NLRC has been the focus of one of the agenda items of the President. It was mentioned even in the inaugural speech. And the President imposed a 98% disposition rate that the NLRC should meet. So we were able to implement that through the Project SPEED, Speedy and Efficient Labor Justice. They have streamlined their processes and procedure. By the end of 2014, NLRC, together with all the labor adjudicatory agencies of the DOL, is on current docket. You see the performance of the NLRC, 99%. Affirmance rate at the compulsory arbitration is 90%, and at the Supreme Court, it is 90.5%. So we sustain the reforms, and we see to it that the NLRC reform bill is passed that will remove appeals at the Court of Appeals. So the appellate process will be reduced by 1 step. Okay? And next. Okay, incentive to attract. This is something that we have to be very honest. We don't craft our labor policies to really favor on a certain sector coming from a certain country. All our labor policies, as you have seen, cater to all investors coming into the country. And we think that the reforms that we are doing to address all the recommendations will really pave the way for more manufacturers in China coming into the Philippines. Okay, next. So ito po is we got that is just started. And this is the last, where we got the lowest rate, regression, okay? This has something to do with holidays. I can only advocate at the office of the President, at the Congress, not to pass laws or proclaim so many holidays. But despite all the advocacies that we are having, we still remain to be the second highest number of holidays in ASEAN. But we discovered something. If you look at the unpaid, mandatory unpaid leaves, in the Philippines, we are the lowest, the 5-day incentive leave, 5 days. And if you broaden the concept of holiday pay to include the mandatory paid leaves, we will be the 3rd lowest country in ASEAN. So I just hope that the JFC will be good enough, kind enough to us to revisit and reconsider the broadening of their understanding of holidays, because there is really very little that the Department of Labor can do about